Welcome, porters, to another lore summary video. I am Fragile Boson, your logistics support officer. This lore summary will cover everything the game wants you to know about Deadman in Chapter 3 right up until the large weather event that takes place at the end of your delivery to South Knot City. So to avoid spoilers, you should have completed the game up to that point. Let's get started. The game doesn't introduce a lot of new information in Deadman in Chapter 3, but I think there are some significant things that we need to know. We know now that almost everything in Deadman's body was taken from or harvested from other people. He's Deadman because he's acquainted with the dead, but also because he's almost entirely composed of dead people. Deadman writes to tell us that there is no blue in the inverted rainbows, and there will be a full discussion on that phenomena in the Death, Life, Necrosis lore video that's coming. And there will be some interesting reasons and science given for why blue is the color of death. And there are no blue shades in the inverted rainbows that you see before you find Timefall or BTs. Deadman asks a really interesting question. If humans are complex multicellular organisms, how much needs to die to consider a person dead? Or are there certain cells that must die in order to consider a person to be dead? Without going into too much in this video, I will say that this is an extremely fascinating question. I've mentioned before that I work around dying people all the time. I work in a hospice setting, and our average length of stay is probably 3 to 5 months. You can't get on hospice unless you've been diagnosed with a terminal illness that offers you a life expectancy of 6 months or less, considering that your disease progresses the way that physicians expect it to and everything like that. The border between life and death is not as strong, I think, as some people want to believe that it is, or at least maybe put it this way, it's not as clearly defined what makes a person die. And there's been some really interesting articles written about this. If you just do some Googling, you'll find out that is not a very easy question to answer, especially when you think of people that are in persistent vegetative states that are on all sorts of life-sustaining devices but have no brain activity. Is that person technically dead? If you took them off the life support systems, did you kill them? Did they die earlier? The questions are really fascinating, and there's a lot that can be said about those things that I won't say in these videos. But I do suggest that you go at least check out some things, and just so you can understand that barrier that we so casually toss around, somebody died, where is that barrier actually? And it's not as cut and dried and simple as you think that it is, especially if you haven't worked around a lot of death, or you haven't been a witness to a lot of death in your life. It's not something that you normally or regularly think about. So that's all for this lore summary video. Deadman has given us a lot of cool questions, but the answers are not as easy to find as we would hope for. I just want to say I've been your logistics support officer, Fragile Boson. Keep on keeping on, and remember, tomorrow is in your hands.